Hello guys, this is Jackal here. Actually wanted to do something a little different this time around. I wanted to give you guys an insider's view, a commentator's view if you will, on a high-level match of Injustice 2. Now I decided to bring a good friend of mine, Agent here, who also has his own Twitch channel and also co-hosts the Fight Club Weekly with Denny Von Doom, which of course the links will be in the descriptions there. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Definitely pushing to get to 100 subscribers by the end of this month, so if you guys could definitely hit those buttons, it would be greatly appreciated. So here we have Hellboy, Agent's Hellboy versus my patented Black Manta. Of course, Agent is more notably known for his Batman. However, he decides to try out this Hellboy in this particular matchup, a matchup that I have some familiarity with due to playing other high-level players in this matchup. However, Agent may have some unfamiliarity with facing its Manta due to him not playing many offline. Now we're getting out to the start here, a bit of a scramble off the opening gambit. Now this is kind of where I want to be in terms of, well, this is actually where anyone wants to be in terms of facing Hellboy. Hellboy from full screen doesn't have many options. As you can see here, this is where he shines, when he's in your face, up close, able to do a massive amount of damage. So I need to get away from him. Right now he's popped his trait, which means he now has armor, which takes six hits to get rid of. I have to be careful here because he now has the health lead, and because of that I have to be very careful while also maintaining a sense of urgency to not allow him to keep pressuring me and gain momentum. Alright, I do some chip damage there. Now as this match continues, you'll see that there is a level of conditioning that takes place as things progress. Now right there, as you can see, I pushed Agent all the way to the corner by using a series of safe advancing strings because I know that he is trying to protect his health lead and doesn't want to take any unnecessary risk. However, I'm also taking note of that and taking advantage by going for bigger hitting attacks as well as attacks to do more damage. Now that I have the health lead, I went on the offensive. However, I made a mistake in my spacing and almost lost a round for that.
God damn it, impressive.
Now Agent, of course, trying to gain the momentum back, is going to opt for an early clash. However, he did not spend enough meter to keep me from winning that clash. So he takes the guaranteed damage using the revolver to ensure the win of the round. The ground pound does hit low, so if you're not ready for it like I wasn't, it can catch you by surprise. Now as you can see there, Agent did use his wake up attack. That is the only actual invincible wake up attack that Hellboy has. However, as you notice, I used an attack that stuffed it as it was coming out, which is what is called a meaty. I use an attack that has a considerable amount of active frames, which means that it's sitting out there long enough to stuff the attack once the invincibility is worn off. And I timed it to which it hit him before he hit me. So with me taking the first game, this is referred to that conditioning that I mentioned earlier. Basically, now he understands that I have an level of awareness when it comes to this matchup. As you can see there, he tried to go to the air, and I knocked him out of the air really quickly. But I also canceled it to the rocket just in case he didn't go into the air as sort of a contingency plan for that matter. Now he is trying to counter poke there, but I used the armor on my meter burn forward 3 to get the side switch. Now, as you can see here, the pace of the match is a lot slower. Me having the health lead, I have to be a lot more judicious with my choices and very careful. However, Black Manta is a character that is designed to maintain momentum, and once he has it, he's very good at keeping it. So once I did get an opportunity, I seized it by taking him into the corner and maintaining that pressure to take the first round. Now there I felt that he was going to press me, so I tried to get out my Manta Ray to stop his approach. However, Agent took the safer option and just used the revolver since it is a very fast moving projectile, one of the fastest in the game. Now that string is -8. However, at this particular moment, I know that Agent doesn't entirely know how unsafe that string is. So because of that, I used the meter burn back 3 to frame trap him in a sense to keep that from happening. Now he has his trait out, so I have to be very careful, otherwise I'll get hit because of the armor eating the little hits that I'm doing towards him. I tried to take away the armor by using my main chip string, however I did not take away the armor quickly enough, so because of that I ended up getting hit and taking damage for Agent to take the second round. Now, as you can see there, I just waited. I was waiting because I knew that due to me having the health lead, Agent has to come to me. So all I needed to do was just to make sure that I was prepared for whenever he decided to leave. Now, he has armor again, so I have to be careful to make sure not to make any unnecessary mistakes to make sure that he doesn't get a free hit on me. So as you can see there, I just made sure that I was prepared to counter poke when I had the opportunity to chip him out, take damage, and of course take the game. Now in these games, if you're my opponent, of course you would have to ask yourself certain questions to determine what the next step is. You know, okay, what is he doing, how is he doing it, and how do I get out of it, right? So as you watch this, I want you to take into account the different adjustments that are made on both Agent's as well as myself's behalves when it comes to the progression of this match. Now this is a 1st to 10, so you'll be able to see a lot of different developments as far as this match goes. Now you can see here is a little bit of back and forth, tit for tat, so to speak, regarding this matter. You know, Agent definitely having the health lead just because Hellboy does a considerably larger amount of burst damage than Black Manta. However, there's not really a momentum switch here. We're both still kind of feeling each other out. As you can see there, I used another meaty to stuff his wake up because I'm aware of it now. So I'm basically going to look to do that any chance I can to make sure that he can't wake up, so I'll give myself more options for pressure. Now I have the health lead again, so of course I play defensively. Now I drop the combo so he gets his turn back and he takes the round. So I misspoke earlier. I stated that I had the health lead earlier. Obviously Hellboy Agent did, so he took advantage of that. Now as you can see here, I noticed that I'm aware that Agent plays a lot more reserved once he has the health lead, and as you should. You know, if you have the health lead, there's not really much reason to go in. You want to protect that health lead for as long as possible so as to not make your job harder when it comes to taking the entire game. Because of this, I understand that I need to press the issue correctly in order to gain that momentum. Now I'm working on getting the health lead back here, but it's taking me a little while as Agent, of course, playing more reserve, is capitalizing on any small mistake that I do. Now Agent, of course, trying to make sure that I don't get any momentum, takes the clash. However, I'm still pressing that issue, right? But I'm trying to make sure I don't get caught in a situation where I could really lose ground. So I'm using my furthest reaching normals, taking different angles, and also making sure I use my safest buttons to ensure that he does not have much room for error himself. Now he knows that I'm looking to stuff his wake up attack, so instead of going for it, he decides to wait and block my attacks instead. He understands that Black Manta is not a very heavy mix-up character in the corner. He has a couple, not many, so he decided to just block low and then react to any mix-up that I have following. Now as you can see there, I played patient again, and I anti-air Hellboy the moment he went to the ground, and because of this, I was able to gain the momentum that I needed to take this next match.
Black Manta wins.
Now Agent did considerably stronger in that particular game. He was a lot more patient. He identified gaps to which he did not take advantage of beforehand and was taking a lot more advantage of those. He also was catching on to my tendencies. So that's another thing about adjusting in matches as well. It's not just character knowledge, is also player knowledge, and catching on to those tendencies is one of the most important things you can do for yourself in a high level match such as this. Now here is where I'm trying to push the issue, kind of turn up the heat a little bit, because I understand that he wants to play patient. He wants me to play his game, and I don't want that to happen, because Black Manta being a character with considerably low health at 1050, it's very easy for Black Manta to lose the health lead, so to speak. So I'm trying to establish the momentum early as to be able to, you know, kind of prevent him from taking that damage away. Now, as you can see here, because I'm playing more aggressive, I was also making a lot more mistakes in that matter. I wasn't pressing the issue correctly, as I mentioned earlier. However, I was able to get one clean hit into a full combo, which I cut short on purpose to reset the situation for another attack, which of course he fell for, and it gave me the round. Now here's that momentum that Black Manta is so good at keeping. Because of this, I was able to keep him in the corner and take away a considerable chunk of health from Agent before he ended up using his Clash to get that health back. Now, as you can see here, I still have the health lead, but I'm not entirely sitting back in just quite yet. Now, some people wouldn't necessarily agree with this situation, and for good reason. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Why go in if you don't have to? However, I understand that Agent is going to identify that I want to protect my health lead. Because of this, he's a lot more volatile in this particular situation. What I mean by that is that he is more inclined to potentially take some risks that I'm not prepared to punish or to respond to. Now, he is deciding to opt to play more reserved, and because of this, I'm taking advantage of that by throwing out moves that are making him flinch. You'll notice that throughout the set, I'll throw out Manta's grounded torpedo move. The reason for this is because the grounded torpedo is able to track my opponent to a short distance, which is able to stop most people's approaches when they come forward to him, and it's also a great move for making an opponent flinch. In this case, this allows me to kind of slow the pace of the match down, as well as see what my opponent is doing. Now, as you can see here, I know that I have the advantage. I know I have the momentum. Agent is erring on the side of caution. He's really not trying to make many mistakes. So because of this, I'm now going to start taking more liberties with my attacks. So as you can see there, I jumped in, which is a very risky thing to do against Hellboy, with him having one of the fastest anti-airing specials in the game, as well as a very strong down to boot. Now, after I hit the opponent with the Manta Ray, I am +2, which means that I get a free down one jab check every time. Agent, however, not being the most aware of that, decided to try to challenge it and gave me a free hit. Now, if the opponent blocks the Manta Ray, it's also -2, which is why I was able to maintain advantage after that time. Now, as you can see here, this is that advantage that I was telling you about, that momentum shift. I know that Agent here is having trouble keeping up with my pace, so I'm going to continue to push the pace as long as I can, because I have a considerable health lead, which gives me the option, the freedom, if you will, to take risks when approaching him. Now, because of those risks, of course, I ended up losing a lead eventually. That, of course, was another mistake made on my part. I was attempting to teleport, assuming that he would jump, but instead he decided to throw out another back 3. Another raw back 3 caught me after that, which was just a shock, just because I was underestimating the size of the hitbox. However, even with the damage that I took, I had enough of a health lead to make up for those mistakes that I had made earlier. And then also, another thing that you should keep in mind is that even as you're getting hit, if you're taking damage in a match, it's not the end all to be all. You always want to still maintain your wits and continue to play solid, because the moment that you let an opponent get inside your head, it's GG's, and they can pretty much have their way with you. Now, Agent is starting to take his time here a little bit. He's trying to consider what's happening. Now, there's that contingency plan that you saw earlier in this video. I did the jump 1 immediately in case he jumped in the air. However, if he did not, I canceled into the air rocket in case he tried to approach me, as I was trying to go for an air-to-air attempt. Alright, now you can see here I'm pressing the issue. Agent, of course, keeping his wits about him, throws out a down 2 because he understands that the majority of Manta's attacks are high or are slow. Alright, now there's that armor break that I was going for earlier. I finally got it. So now I'm able to to continue to pressure Agent now that the armor is gone. And as you can see there, this is how Manta operates. Once the momentum gets started for him, he is going to continue to pressure and continue to keep going for as long as possible. Now you saw there, Agent did use his wake up attack, which I stuffed it, but I mistimed the media attack, which meant that he was still able to hit me. Now, if you notice, Agent is using a different version of his trait, which was the defense buff. When Hellboy glows red like that, he gets a defensive buff, which allows him to take less damage. Now, of course, I go for something a little more guaranteed when approaching Agent. I know that he's going to block first, so because of that, I'm going to challenge his reactions and go for a throw. If he doesn't tech the grab, of course I get the damage. If he does tech the grab, all it does is resets me back to neutral and gives me another chance to pressure Agent. But as you can see here, as these matches are going forward, I'm being a lot more I'm being a lot more intense with my approach. I understand that I have Agent on the ropes, so because of this, I'm going to press the issue further and just basically go in for the kill. As you can see there, there's the contingency plan again. Doing a down one because most of Hellboy's attacks start high. Me being aware of this, I'm just making sure to keep him from getting any momentum. Alright, now I meter burn that move to push him closer to the corner because Manta does have one of the best corner carries in the game. Now, that may have been an input error on Agent's part. However, it works out for him and it allows him to get another combo. Alright, now I was able to duck the interactable. I wasn't able to get the clean punish as it shows that it was a counter, not a punish. However, as I knew that the recovery of him throwing the interactable was enough for me to get another attack. Now I got the whiff punish on Agent whipping the charge, which allowed me to take the next round. Now, of course, that is a mistake on my part. That is what you do not wish to do against Hellboy. In this matchup, it is extremely important to keep Hellboy out of the air. As you can see there, the moment you let him move through the air at will, it makes the matchup that much more difficult to contain. As you can see there, even in my attempts to stop him in the air, his air mobility is that good to where if you are not prepared for it each time, he can get away with some very unfortunate situations. Now, Agent here being a little more defensive. He is also being more aware of the spacing that he has to maintain in order to properly defend against Black Manta. He's also taking into account the amount of spacing he needs to use when facing my Black Manta because of my own personal tendencies. As you can see there, I opt to use the further reaching attacks even though they take longer to come out, just because, of course, it gives me that extra range that I need to approach Hellboy. Now, as you can see there, I was able to anti-air on that time, which gives me the ability to get the full combo. I didn't get the meaty out, however, and because of that, I let him get a wake up. Now, Hellboy did have his debuff trait on, his defense buff trait on. However, even with that, I used my super to ignore that trait and to take the kill in the round when he decided to leap in there. And that's also something that you want to keep into account when it comes to fighting fighting in a match. You want to make sure that you're always coming up with new ideas, because of course this is a high level situation, so people are going to adjust, people are going to come up with new ideas of their own. As you can see here, Agent being a lot more active on offense caught me off guard, so because of that I ended up getting caught and he got a very considerable health lead. So it's always important to be on your toes and to maintain your wits when in these set situations. Now here I am making a lot more mistakes because I am in a bit of a frenzy because I have such a low health lead, and I know that at full screen, if Manta does not have the health lead, he's pretty harmless. So I'm trying to press the issue here. However, Agent knows I'm trying to push the issue, so he's taking advantage of those very mistakes that I've been trying not to make all through this match, and uses it to take the next round. Hey, look, man, I'm trying. So, as you can see here, Agent having the health lead was starting to take more liberties in his offense as well. However, I was aware of the options that he had at those ranges, so I used the better attack in that situation to catch him off guard. Alright, so I used that down one to catch him from pushing a bigger button. Alright, he blocks the check there, which is good on his part. Because of that, he got to turn back. Now, as you noticed throughout the set, I've been using the flip out option frequently against Hellboy. The reason being is that Hellboy does not have much in terms of grounded mobility. His air mobility is really good, however his ground mobility is not. A lot of his normals are fairly slow on startup, so if you air tech out of a lot of his combos, he doesn't really have much to do in terms of trying to follow up on that. Alright, so I know that he has the armor, so I'm trying to keep him contained. However, he catches me trying to push a bigger button, ends up doing an unclashable finish to make sure that he keeps that damage on to make it stick. But he still doesn't have the health lead. So now, with him having only a sliver of health left, he was trying to keep from me touching him, and of course, taking the round by chipping him out. Me being aware of that, decided to take an option that would basically cover his from that range and take the round anyway. And those are those new ideas that you want to come up with. You know, you always want to make sure that you have some trick up your sleeve at all times in case, to ensure that these things don't get away from you. Now, see there, Agent's adjusting. He understands that I'm using that contingency plan, so now he's going to use his own contingency plan to counter that one. And he's being a little more aggressive. However, you have to make sure that you're able to check your opponent at all times. You can't really just let them go ham, so to speak. You have to be ready to check them, otherwise they'll take any chance they can to maintain the momentum. Now, as you can see here, I'm using different options when it comes to approaching Hellboy to find ways to turn his tools against him. When he uses his revolver, I'm using my air harpoon to catch him during the animation of the move to make sure that I punish him for trying to zone me out. Now, of course, I was able to maintain the momentum and chip him out, which didn't allow him to use his trait. I made the proper read on him trying to zone me and was able to whiff punish him using my teleport. Alright, now as you can see here, I know that he's afraid of me, so I'm going to take more liberties. I use the 4-3s to do unclashable damage, and then of course I use a setup to make him wake up miss, because he knows that I'm using the meaty, right? But he also knows that the meaty can be mistimed. So this time I'm not going to go for it. This time I'm going to go for something different. And in that situation, I went for something different. I had a feeling that he was going to jump in the air, or at the very least try to stay at a range to where my regular normals couldn't touch him. So because of this, I decided to use my Manta Ray, because the Manta Ray does have the ability to anti-air and also pushes him away at a distance to where he can't punish me. Now, these matches are going by fairly quickly. This is not to say that, you know, this is just a dominating match or anything like that. This is just kind of how Manta functions. There are quite a few NetherRealm games are fairly aggressive by nature. So there are characters, of course. Well, a lot of the characters in this game, once they get started, have the ability to take a lot of damage away from you very quickly. They just do it in different ways. With Hellboy, his thing is burst damage. He does a very large amount of damage for each individual hit that he can do to you. For Black Manta, it's a bunch of tiny hits that cash out, so to speak, when he gets that one big combo that he's looking for. Alright, now of course, I have the health lead, so I am able to take more liberties with my approach than Agent. However, Agent taking advantage of that and making sure to capitalize off of those risks that I was taking earlier, which now just gave him the health lead. Even with him dropping the finish for that combo, he still now has the health lead. So now I have to be very careful in my approach And as you can see there, sometimes things just work out in your favor. Now, that is something that you just aren't able to account for as a player. Fighting games have an element of randomness to them. So those kind of situations they just happen. You try to do what you can, but sometimes you just get caught. Alright, now here as you can see, I dashed twice and then I went for a big button on my behalf. The reason being is because I know that Agent doesn't want to lose any more health. So I'm going to take advantage of this and try to kind of make him flinch a bit. Try to add an extra layer of fear. But as you can see here, he's also recognizing just how much block advantage or a lack thereof there are after my attack. So he's now starting to take advantage of those frames and use them to approach. Now, as you can see here, he waited me out, waited to block the teleport, and took a huge chunk of my health because of it. Now, I dropped the combo. However, I understand that Agent still plays reserve, so I try to take the grab to test his reactions. And here I do the grab off of a stagger because I know that he has Clash available. As you can see in the symbol at the top of the health bar, the little gray symbol, as you can see there, the like shield with the sword clashed over it, sword drawn over it. That is the Clash symbol. So I was aware that he had that available. So I cut my combo short on purpose and did a throw to further ensure my success in taking that round without giving him a second chance, so to speak. However, that was the end of the match. I do apologize that it was the first to 10, but Agent had to leave a bit early. I hope you guys enjoyed watching here. I will definitely be making more of these and hope to bring you guys more content. Once again, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can also subscribe to Agent's Twitch channel, The Agency, on the link that I have left in the description below. Thank you so much for you guys' support. I will continue to do this as long as you'll have me. Now, feel free to review this footage, take it in, and hope to see you guys out there in the tournaments. Have a good one.